Hello. How are you?
Hello, good afternoon. How's everybody?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Glad to be alive. Glad to be alive.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. This is definitely the right side of the grass to be on.
That's true. That is true.
Charles, I emailed you one drawing.
Yes, you did.
Okay, good. You got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Your kiwi.
Yes. And it's not the fruit you eat, it's a little bird.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was going to mention that to you. It could have been either. It could have been kiwi fruit. But then it wouldn't be an animal.
Right.
So, and that would
Did you
not
know
be.
that they're the only bird? Did you know they're the only bird that has their nostrils down at the very tip end of their beak? And they feed at night, and they go through the grass and dig up worms and bugs, but they do a lot of sneezing too.
Yeah. No, I did not. Now, are they a marsupial? Well, no, I guess they're not a marsupial because they're not a mammal. They're a bird. Okay.
Did you mean nocturnal?
No, I meant marsupial like a kangaroo, but yeah, but
No pouches.
Yeah,
No.
but they
are nighttime creatures.
Yeah, and they're from Australia, right?
Correct. In New Zealand, yes.
Oh, are they in New Zealand as well?
There's several different types. There's one that's really big, that's almost 4 feet tall, but most of them are small and they get up to about 2 feet tall.
Oh, okay.
And they're about as, and the ones that I have concentrated on are about as big as a chicken.
All right. Well,
that's all I know so far.
Well, you know,
Good biology lesson today, huh?
Oh, we're always going to learn something here.
Absolutely. Right. No doubt about that.
Yeah. I mean, somebody will come up with something. So, yeah, I got a little bit of work. I didn't get a lot. I got a little bit. And so I actually pulled an artist for us to look at and talk about as well, you know, just to cover the time, because we can talk about all kinds of things with his stuff. So now we just have to wait for people to get here. So we got we got about 3 more minutes. So.
I got a new dishwasher today.
Congratulations.
You did?
I know.
Are we talking about the mechanical type dishwasher?
Yeah, we are. We're not talking about a human type. No.
No.
I was getting dishpan hands and decided.
You'd get a new dishwasher instead?
Yes. I would say I bought it back in December, and they finally got around to installing it today. So.
Oh. Okay.
And you know, they say that okay, well, they just don't last like they used to. It's probably true, but it was not fixable by my hand. The dishwasher wasn't, and it was going to be kind of expensive to repair it. Yeah. So bite the bullet.
Wow. We got a new one last year after probably having one for about 15 years, and they're much more water efficient. They have thought out so many more ways to stack the dishes and the silverware in a more easily cleaned way. So we're very pleased with ours.
Good. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to being able to use it.
Yeah, I have, well, yeah, I guess my dishwasher story is I moved in here a little over 5 years ago. And when I moved in here, Billy and Linda told me there were going to be no appliances here, right? And so I showed up, and there was still an old refrigerator, old stove, and a dishwasher in the kitchen. And I was thinking that they belonged to the previous tenant, since they told me that no appliances came with it. And, you know, I tried using the dishwasher, and it leaked when it ran, which was about half the time. So I ended up, you know, my brother ended up giving me a dishwasher, his dishwasher out of his house, which really wasn't very old, you know, when he replaced his. And so I had that one put in here. Come to find out, I guess, you know, Linda feels as though that's their dishwasher. So when I leave here, I'll have to put the old non-working dishwasher back in place for her. So, you know, I guess that's the way it will go.
Well, this dishwasher I replaced had to be more than 20 years old.
Yeah.
So I mean, it served its purpose.
Yeah, even though we have that dishwasher put in here, we seldom use it. You know,
Oh.
I mean, really, I mean, it's a rare occasion that we'll use enough dishes to actually run a dishwasher. So,
Well,
so most of the time,
I'll use dishes until I fill the dishwasher up, and then I'll run the dishwasher and
yeah,
start the cycle again.
Yeah, see, we just use a few plates, and then we go rinse and wash them off in the sink and put them over in the rack and let them dry. Yeah. I mean, on rare occasions, like on holiday meals, when we're using like a lot of plates or something like that, it makes sense to use it. So, but yeah, I guess you could rinse them off and just leave them sitting in there. But
Well, I could also let the dog pre-wash them too.
you could. Yes, yes.
They love to do that.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, I've been guilty of that, and I've seen my brother do that with his dog many times.
Yeah.
Of course, now his dog is so old, he can't do that anymore because the dog's not allowed to have any table food anymore. So,
Well, Charles, I think you're fortunate to have such a generous family, your brother especially. That's terrific.
yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, it's something he wasn't going to be using. So, all right. Well, it's about that time. All right. You guys ready to rock and roll?
Mm-hmm.
Ready as ever.
Okay. Well, there's about 7 of us here. Sooner or later, people will show up. I'm particularly waiting for Bernice, since she wanted to do some screenshots of stuff today. And so here's what we got on the agenda. Okay. I don't have a lot of stuff that you guys sent in, but we're going to look at that. And then after that, I'm going to go through the drawing images that we did from last Friday. And if you guys, you know, I'll basically, you know, put them up. If you guys want to take a screenshot of it so that you can finish your drawings, that's fine. That way, I don't have to email them on the county email.
Here you go.
Yeah. And that way you've got them on your computer and you can use them and do whatever you need to do with them. Okay. Does that sound fair?
Sounds great.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. And even at that, I think we're going to be running short of time. And we'll probably have at least a good half hour, 45 minutes left. And I've got an artist that I want to introduce you to. And we're going to talk about him in context with a lot of the color theory stuff that we've been talking about creating depth and pushing and pulling space, you know, warm versus cool, you know, things like that. Okay. So that's my thought. Anybody else got any other thoughts before we get?
You know, from our recent discussions we've had over the past couple of weeks,
Mhm.
I have discovered that I am paying a whole lot more attention to the rules of the game for value and for contrast and for temperature and for size. And I'm paying a whole lot more attention to that on the stuff that I'm working on. So thank you for that.
Okay.
Those
All right.
discussions.
All right. So I take it it's working out for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good. That's the important part. Okay. All right. So on that happy note, let's rock and roll here. And as people come in, well, we'll say hi to them. All right. So let's see. Let's start with some drawings by Mr. Bob Homer. We'll start at the top of the list today. Now, Bob, why is this big old burly guy smacking that girl in the face?
Well, I had a cartoon in mind, but actually, that's what you call putting something in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Okay. I was just kind of wondering. I looked at that and I'm like, And with the kind of radiating lines from the fan behind her, it almost kind of looks like one of those emphases in a comic book, or
Yeah, where it says "Big Pow" on the back of the.
Yeah. I was kind of wondering about that. Okay, so I'll just, and I know you already know this. That's what you would call a unfortunate compositional faux pas. Okay. Yeah, when you kind of run into stuff like that, I would probably just let the arm fade off before it hits her in the face. That would just, kind of be.
I figured it'd be a conversation piece. So.
It has stirred a conversation already. So there you go. You did that to good effect. But yeah, as far as the composition, in that, I would kind of break one thing in front of the other, and not really make them intersect in some way. And or I would change the scale of them considerably, one considerably bigger, one considerably smaller. And that way they don't really look like they're in the same space. But as far as your actual drawings of the images themselves, and we talked a lot about this the other day, and it's something, since you are paying attention to so many different things, I'll give you one more to look at. And that is, when you draw, think about the type of line that you're using and try to use a kind of a wider variety of lines. So there's thick and thin, to indicate where light and shadow are. And the other thing, and you've done it somewhat here in the shoulders, look for those opportunities to break the line inside the form, so that the form doesn't look flat. Because when you come in with two fairly equal outlines, what ends up happening is it basically creates a flat shape, and it doesn't tell us that this edge right here is closer to us than, say, this edge. Okay.
But on that particular, on the guy, I had more trouble with him.
Mm-hmm.
I just really had an awful time trying to draw him the other day, and it just, I don't know, just my pencil wasn't cooperating with my brain.
I see.
On him.
Okay. Well, okay. And that being said, all right, I was going to compliment you on the fact that you were successful in the sense of getting the scale and the proportion of the hand and the arm here. And it does feel like this is closer to us, say, than the head and or maybe the torso or this arm. So you do have the feeling of it going backward, because you've come in here and you've broken that line up, as it moved back, and the scale of the head, in proportion to the hand, seems to work. So that pushes a little bit of space for you, okay? Now on the girl, again, generally your proportions are pretty good. and you found a couple of opportunities, to break inside and indicate that there's like one shape in front of another. The thing that doesn't work as well here is your shading. And when you shade, you and John, Bernice, there's about 4 or 5 of you. I think Veronica, you need to practice taking that pencil and creating a gradation, or laying down kind of an even tone, something that doesn't look textural and scratchy, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, and just, not that you have to do it on anything. You could just do it on a piece of paper. Just practice, trying to get kind of a more even, tone. Because one of the things that's happening is, it's very uneven here. And so it almost becomes like a texture, like fur or something like that. And, she's not furry, so.
I was gonna say she may be a furry girl.
Yeah, she would be a furry girl. Yeah.
She's got bear.
She's got what?
She's got bear skin.
Okay, right. Yeah, she's wearing a bear skin. There you go. Yeah. And kind of so is she. See. So again, the more kind of soft you can make those, the better. Now you're seeing where the light and shadow are, but again, see, you're not really varying your line very much here. A little bit in here, you're kind of picking up the weight. But think about that, as you're, creating those lines. Because a lot of time, if you can just vary your line, then you don't have to go back in and shade it, because it already kind of tells the viewer that, oh, okay, there's some kind of value attached there.
Okay.
As far as, again, your proportions, general length, movement, things like that, those are all pretty good, on both of these figures. And, on her in particular, the shapes, the head in front of the torso, and then the hand coming over, this arm coming forward, and then the legs, even though we know that legs are longer and bigger, because they're so far away, you've got to kind of reduce them to make them go back. And it works, fairly well there. So on that part, that's good. And then these, again, kind of a lot of the same thing, right? So really look at how you're using your line and think about, do I really need like a thick outline on this side of the leg when this side of the leg is in light and this side is in shadow? So, we've got to treat them differently.
Okay.
And then we come down to the long drawing. And, you had a little more time on this, and, it's a nice drawing. You get a good indication of being up above her and looking down. You also get an indication that, her leg's going into the water and there's something going on, either a reflection on the water and or you kind of see through the water and down into it, with her leg down below it. Again, proportion, movement, everything else is really pretty good here. It's line work, and how you use line. That's, could be better. Okay. And then you sent this piece in, and we got jellyfish and what are the orange fish called?
Kelp.
No, the orange fish.
Those two guys. Those are clowns.
Clownfish. That's right. Okay.
Are they also called sergeant majors?
I've never heard of that term before. No, I mean, they may be, but I've never heard of it.
Yeah. I could call my son and ask him. That's his area of expertise.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
But they're playing amongst the anemone, which is that's an very interesting symbiotic relationship that clownfish have with anemone.
Mhm.
because they can be around and in and way down in the throats of anemone without them being hurt. But another kind of fish can't get close because it's poisonous to most all fish except for the clowns.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's almost like living inside of a jellyfish, because they have the same kind of thing. They've got like stingers
Mhm.
that will, affect the, you know, the nervous system of the fish. But yeah, clownfish are immune to it for some reason. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the what you were trying to do here. And this is this in like pastel?
Yes.
Okay.
I bought some Canson pastel paper,
Mhm.
but it ain't. I mean, that is so unreceptive to pastels. I sprayed that a number of times with some fixative
Mhm.
to actually put some tooth on the paper,
Mhm.
so that it would hold some of the pastel anyway.
Yeah. Now Canson, Canson really makes a whole variety of papers. And I've seen some of their pastel paper. And then they also have like a drawing or a charcoal paper. And they're both kind of gray. And
Mhm.
one has like a little bit of a tooth or a bump or weave to the surface. And that's actually more the charcoal paper. Because pastel, like you were saying, it's for some reason it's like the surface is too hard, and it doesn't really
Yeah.
take pastel well.
Yes.
Now they do have a pastel paper, and it actually doesn't look like what you would think a pastel paper looks like, because it's really kind of smooth, but it's kind of like the BFK Reeves. It's very kind of soft, and so you can
Mhm.
really pile on quite a bit of pastel onto it.
The reason I got it was because I wanted to have a start with a blue paper,
Mhm.
and so I could then vary that where I needed to vary it. But boy, that was a chore.
Yeah. Are you familiar with BFK Reeves?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Next time, you decide to venture into an art store, such as like probably either Blick or Binders or Utrecht, one of the three of them, and or what is that other one?
Sandflax.
Yeah, Flax. Yeah. If you go into any of those, ask them if they have any of the BFK Reeves, drawing papers, and they come in
Okay.
a variety of colors, and it's generally kind of like a very very thick, soft kind of paper, and just get a sheet of it and try it, because it really takes pastel really nicely.
Yeah, I mean, I've got other pastel paper that's almost like 180 sandpaper,
Mhm. Yeah.
which I mean that'll suck up the pastel really really good. Well, the bear is done on that
Mhm.
that I have. But what I was really trying to capture in this one was just playing with trying to get movement, to show movement in the images that I put on the paper. I think I've captured it some. But
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the direction of the kelp, the jellyfish, in the way that you've done the trails and stuff like that, offer a little bit of direction and movement, in the composition. Um, Now, I'm going to get, far out on the limb here, and basically, I'm thinking that your focal point was really the three jellyfish. Is that correct?
well, yes, but primarily for the most part.
Okay. And not the clownfish. Okay.
Oh no, the clownfish were an afterthought.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because they're kind of subtle and they do kind of fall, back into the background. And you could have created more contrast on them and made them more the focal point if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I was just kind of taking it that the three of these had more contrast, so that's kind of where you wanted people to go.
Well, I'm basically I don't really know if the anemones and the clownfish would be really that adapted to the environment where a kelp because kelp really grows quite long, and they're pretty deep in the water where these fish are more reef type fish in general. So
well,
I'm not sure the environment's quite right.
Actually, I can tell you that I don't know about clownfish so much, but I know that growing up around Monterey and walking out, when the tide was out, the rocks were covered in anemones.
Yeah.
And they do grow in the same place that kelp forests grow.
Okay.
So,
okay.
So
does anybody know what kelp is used for?
It's a food for some people, seaweed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can eat it.
But what fast food place uses a lot of kelp?
Sushi bars.
No. Mickey D's. It's the ingredient that gives the texture to their shakes.
Oh, really?
My goodness.
Yes.
Is that what they make? What they call agar? Agar. It comes from seaweed.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I told you we learned something new every day.
Healthy shake, huh?
Okay, I had no idea. Okay.
Yeah, my father-in-law used to work for Merck Sharp and Dohme Pharmaceuticals, and one of the companies that they owned was Kelco, I think it was called, which was the kelp processing plant, and their biggest customer was McDonald's.
Okay.
So that's how I know.
Yeah, I would have never guessed. I thought it was pretty much a dairy product, but nope. Obviously with kelp in it, not so much.
So much.
All right. Well, we looked at this the other day. Brock sent this in, and then he also sent in a drawing. Is Brock here? Has he shown up? I don't see him.
I don't see him.
Yeah, I don't see him either. Okay. How many people we got now? We're up to 11. Yay! Okay, so anyway, he sent this drawing in. And we'll talk about it at a later period of time. And then jumping forward, we have a very serious Mr. John Gigliotti in a self-portrait. Okay. So John, tell us a little bit about your self-portrait.
That's
Again,
good.
thank you. With all we've been talking about with eyes and nose and mouth, that's what I've been trying to learn. I did a couple of portrait things. I wanted to sort of try to work on those aspects of the face.
Okay.
And this is
You went away, John.
okay. I was trying to work on the proportions of the aspects of the face of the eyes, nose, and mouth that we did in some of our exercises.
Okay. All right.
And I had this is a picture, a selfie I had taken, and so decided to play around.
Okay. All right. So I got a couple of comments for you. Okay.
Okay.
Now, is this in watercolor?
Yes, all watercolor.
Okay. And then you've added some white in there to make some of the watercolor opaque.
Yeah, so for the reflection of the glasses and in the hair, yeah.
Yeah, but how about up here in the skin tones? It looks like this has been mixed with.
Oh,
some-
yeah, probably. I probably did too, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So are you using like a watercolor, like a China white, something like that to add?
Well, no, I have a China white and I have a titanium white, and I
Hmm.
never quite remember to look which one I'm squeezing out.
Okay. All right. Well, the titanium white would probably be a little more opaque, right? And so
Okay.
in just looking at this, I'm kind of thinking maybe you use the titanium.
That could be, I think maybe.
Yeah, because you're getting almost like a gouache feel, to the skin tones. Now, all of the rest of the color in here is still very much so feeling like watercolor. You get that kind of granular feeling to it, and also the transparency of the color. And you can really see the contrast between color that's transparent and color that's more or less opaque. And so it looks like you mixed just about all of your skin tones as being opaque, right?
Okay. Okay. Yep.
Okay. Now, I guess what I would say about that is that if I were going to do a watercolor portrait of myself, okay, the last thing I would do is add white to any of the colors of the skin until I figured out where the light and shadows were. And the only place that I would mix any white with any kind of mixture of skin tone is on the light side. And I would leave all of the shadows, any of these midtones and shadows, leave just as a color in watercolor.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. And if you did that, okay, what would happen is that you would get more three-dimensional form, out of your color on the face. You would also get more of a temperature change. You'd also get, certain things really pulling forward and other things kind of.
What caused that, like, more because of the light reflection and refraction of the paint, or?
Well, in doing that, because it's watercolor, you're relying on the white of the paper and the translucency of it. And what happens with translucent color is that in many cases it's bolder, it's more vivid. See, because it works almost like a glaze, because the light hits the paper to travel through the pigment and then bounces back off. And so you get, more saturation and richness out of the color that way. As soon as you add white to it, as soon as you add white to anything, first of all, you're taking not a cool color, but the coldest color you have on the palette, and you're putting it into the color. So whatever color you're adding it to, you're reducing the temperature. The other thing you're doing is you're also reducing the intensity of it as well. See?
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you can't add white to something and keep it intense. You just can't. It won't do it.
Would there have been a lot of difference if I used the Chinese white instead of the titanium?
I don't know. I'm kind of thinking they're going to have similar effects. I think that the titanium is going to be more opaque.
I think it is.
Yeah. And what you might want to do, just as an experiment, and I'm not saying, repaint the whole face, but you might do just a little study of, say, like maybe, around your cheek and your nose and stuff, like a small area of your face on another piece of paper. Yeah. And try to do as much of it, the midtones and the darks with just the watercolor with no white in it. And then again, save those areas that's really where the light is hitting, to put the opaque color in. Just as an experiment to look at the difference and see, how much more range you can get out of it. Okay.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay, so that,
Else, would it be possible to put glazes over the watercolor?
unfortunately, you know, watercolor, you know, once it dries, you know, it looks good, you know, but as soon as you add water over it, it's going to begin to diffuse. And so there's no way you could lay a wash over this without affecting all the color underneath and getting it to soften or move a bit.
But you could do pastels, because I have done that in watercolor class.
Well, you could, yeah, you could use pastels. That's going to give you a different texture and a different feel to it
Mhm.
as well, though. Okay. Now, the other thing you could do is you could possibly spray this with a clear, like a crystal clear or a fixative, and then you could wash over it with oil, you know, if you wanted to. I mean, you could. I mean, there's lots of different things you could do if you wanted to kind of go down the road of playing with mixed media. But in John's case, because he primarily does watercolor, I'd like to see him go back and, you know, just try a section of the face, or any face for that matter of fact,
Right.
and do it just in watercolor without the white, and then just save, you know, after that's all dry, really kind of figure out where the light is on the face, and that's where he goes back in and makes those more opaque.
I also have a titanium buff, and that has even more opaqueness than the white, it seems.
Yeah, and yeah, again, yeah, you could use that as well, you know, to lighten a value. But again, as soon as you do that, now it's not going to make the temperature shift to be as cold as the white will.
Right, okay.
And so it might be a better thing to use in most of the skin tones, unless it's those really, really light areas. You know, so you might experiment around, you know, with that and try it. You know, see what kind of effect you get.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there
What
any other?
paper was this, John?
Pardon?
What type paper did you use? Is this hot press, cold press, or?
It's a regular cold press watercolor paper, probably 140 pounds, I think.
Yes, okay.
And this is 11 by 14, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
John, I can
Good
tell
job.
it's you. I can tell it's you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. I don't think it is, but
I
Well,
can tell it's you.
it
Me too.
resembles you. Now, you know, if you want to get technical and picky about it, you've sort of elongated the proportions in your face.
right.
Yeah, because
And you know, I tend to do that because I draw and paint flat, and if I raise up, like even the Friday drawings, if I raise up my pad, I get a better proportion. But
right.
when I'm painting, I notice that I elongate because of the flatness.
Uh-huh. So what does that tell you, John?
Well, you can't really raise up the watercolor because it'll run.
I beg to differ with you. Yes, you can. Okay.
Really?
Now, yeah, sure you can. You could actually do watercolor on an easel, vertical. You know, while you're doing your layout, right?
Right.
And like, you know, my approach to watercolor is I take something that's a light value, okay? And it's usually something like a yellow ochre or just a yellow, and I'll just sketch things out, you know, about where I'm going to put my big blocks and shapes of color. And once I have that, you know, and I've got, you know, a general sketch, you know, then I'll tip it back about, you know, to 30 degrees, and I'll start just laying in some loose color on it. And then when I get into my heavy washes, that's really the only time I lay it down flat.
Right.
When
Okay.
I'm really going to be putting a lot of water on it. Okay.
Okay. But I that is a shortcoming I have, and I know it. And when I consciously think of it, like I'll say some of our Friday drawing sessions, I try to consciously think about it and pull the pad up and then correct my errors.
Yeah.
And this, as soon as I pulled this up and looked at it, I knew exactly what I did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Anytime if you're trying to work flat, and particularly if you're working flat and sitting down,
Right.
you're going to get that distortion. Now, the other thing is a lot of people who work on watercolor and they work flat, they stand so that they're up over the drawing and they can really
Right.
see what's going on. And again, they don't.
I do alternate standing and sitting, but I'm sitting, and I sit on a high stool
Mhm.
and I stand.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, that angle or either standing over it will do
Right.
a lot to get rid of that distortion.
Yeah.
So, yeah, even people who've been doing this for a long time, sometimes not thinking, we'll be sitting there doodling on something flat on the table, and then I'll pick it up and I go, oh, it looks pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. This one we're gonna mount on the floor.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep. Been there, done that. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So is India here? India home?
I don't think I saw her either.
No. Is that Veronica in there?
Yeah, Veronica.
Wanda's here. Eloise is
It's
here.
me. Yeah.
Yay. Hey, Veronica, how you doing?
Good afternoon. I like John's watercolor though.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it does. It does look a bit like him. I mean, who he was doing. He just made himself look more like the Thin Man. Anybody watch that show? I'm trying to think of the actor's name.
Peter Lawford.
Peter Lawford. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Showing the age.
He has his Thin Man look, going on there. So, anyway.
Well, the last self-portrait I did, Charles, you told me I was too harsh on myself with all my wrinkles and creases. I tried to smooth it over a little bit. So
Yeah,
I had a facelift.
and that part worked out pretty well for you. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it looks like you, and it looks sort of age appropriate and all. It's just, you just don't have that roundness, in your face that,
Right.
that when, and of course we're looking at you on camera, and you know what they say about, faces on camera.
Right.
Yeah. You gain 15 pounds automatically. So,
yeah.
yeah. Just
Yes. I think overall my face is oval. It's not really round. It's oval. So.
Yeah.
It's a good likeness, John. It looks really good.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I love your
Did you
colors
do
in the
this with a
background.
mirror or what? A picture?
Photo. Took a selfie photo.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He used modern technology. You can do that with cell phones.
Yes, right.
Take your own picture.
Was not off the reflection in the stream going by.
Okay. All right. So anyway, India's not here, and we looked at her painting, this one yesterday, of which she did a lovely job. It's really a fun
Beautiful.
painting.
Beautiful.
It's got lots of nice stuff going on in it. But she was talking about her next project, and she was looking at this flower in particular that she was going to paint. And she was talking about the fact that, she was really having a hard time trying to get the intensity out of the color, right? And so, I wanted to show you guys, because I think these flowers are related. Now, I don't think that this is a Confederate rose, but it's a member of the hibiscus family. And the Confederate rose is also a member of the hibiscus family. And see, they're very similar flowers.
They
That's
are.
very nice. I didn't realize that was a Cherokee rose.
It's not Cherokee rose. It's a what they call a Confederate rose.
Oh, a Confederate rose. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the same flower. No, wait a minute. No, that's a, what is that? That's the one that grows out behind your mom's house.
Camellia.
Camellia. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Camellias are beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And they
that,
bloom about this time. I have
oh
one
yeah.
of my camellias blooming right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I remember over at Glen Ridge, that big camellia back behind that.
Oh, oh yes, the huge one.
Yeah, that was covered in flowers. Yeah, that's probably actually where I took that flower, that picture right there. Okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was a Confederate rose. It's not. That's camellia. Okay. The other thing we talked about was this was June's drawing, and
good.
the the perspective on it, and we were all kind of wondering if the perspective was actually off, but then the looking at the reference, this is the photo reference for it. And I think a lot of where the distortion comes from is how the person who took the picture shot it. They were very low to the ground and kind of shooting up. And that really kind of forced the distortion in it.
I think if she would have angled the sidewalk like it is in the photo, it wouldn't be as prominently distorted.
Well, the thing is,
They like wider at the bottom than it is narrow. Hers is a straight.
well,
I
there's
think
there's two things going on. Yeah, there's this, and it does get a little wider here at the bottom. Yeah, let's look at your drawing. Yeah, it stays fairly equal there. Yeah, so if that would have angled out a little bit more, that would have made it lay down a bit. But she was starting with something that really actually had a lot more distortion than she actually put into the drawing.
I think the base where the vase is sitting is not as flat going back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Hers seems to tip up a bit more. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And that's the thing about perspective. Sometimes it's just this little bit. In getting those angles, and if you
Vanishing
don't get them
points.
right, yeah, they look kind of funky. So anyhow, and then we had Miss Rebecca Pinkney. Okay, and this is K for Kiwi. Okay, and she and I have already had a discussion that she could have put a big fuzzy green round piece of fruit there, but then it would no longer be an animal book. So so this is the animal kiwi. So this is her drawing for that. So Rebecca,
Yes, I'm here.
you're doing these in color pencil, is that right?
And marker, yes.
Oh, and marker. Okay. All right. You using any other kind of media on it?
Sometimes I use a little bit of chalk pencil.
Okay. And how does that work with the color pencil? Does the color pencil make it slick, or are you putting the chalk down first?
This is done on, so what I did first is I drew it in a regular graphite pencil. Then I did the marker. Then I did the color pencil. And then for the dot of the eye, I had to use a little bit of paint.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're saying the highlight in the eye?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that now. Yeah, that little mark right there. Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
I must say, I was very rushed today. I didn't take my usual leisurely time. And I want to go back and work on it some more to make the texture of the feathers look a little more realistic. And I think that I can do that if I add some more dark brown colored pencil.
Okay.
It looks very cute, Rebecca. I like it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah, I don't know if you want to add any more or not. It looks
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the texture to me, of the bird kind of feels right. I mean, I guess if you wanted to get back in and get a little more nitpicky with it, you could, but I don't think you really have to. I mean, I think you've conveyed the idea.
Okay.
So now the one thing I would caution you on, okay, and the one thing I want to ask is, all right, so you've got this background, all right, and this kind of acts almost like a horizon line here for us, right? But then why does it stop right at the bottom of the bird?
He's sitting on his feet. He's sitting like in a nest type situation.
Okay, but that doesn't explain why the black or the ground here stops at his feet.
His
sitting down.
his feet are tucked under him.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
all right. If this is kind of the edge of the horizon line, okay, then why
Right.
does this background stop right at the bottom of him? Why does it not keep going forward?
Oh, I haven't finished that part. I'll probably put some grass in there and add some more color to the sky
Okay.
because he's on the ground. He's
Okay.
seated.
But now is the ground going to stop right where his feet is?
Oh no, I haven't finished the front part of the drawing yet.
Okay. So your intention is to bring this gray further down?
Much more, yes.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Well, as long as you
I
bring,
dashed that off in about a half an hour,
yeah.
and I'm definitely not finished.
Okay. Well, I would just, caution you not to end this at the same line as the feet. Okay. Unless he's standing on something, that's in front of all of this stuff back here. And maybe,
Yes, he could be. His
Yeah, it could be.
his feet are very interesting.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll add those. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll have to think about that.
Yeah. He's got long toes. I know.
Yes, he's got dinosaur type feet.
Yeah.
And the nails are like claws. They're amazing.
Wow.
All right. Okay. So yeah, we will be interested in seeing where you go from here with that. And then
Okay, thank you.
you also sent us this. Okay, come on. There we go. And this is the teacher's something chart, So what is that about?
So when we were talking about flesh tones, this is what I found on the internet. And it's saying that if you use a lot of black, a little bit of red, a little bit of white, then you'll get a kind of a dark brown flesh tone. And then there are the combinations that show the different types of flesh tone that will happen when you combine those different colors, white, red, and black. On the second row across, they used a lot of white, a little bit of red, and then probably just a touch of black.
Right.
And they got a completely different skin tone.
Right. Yeah. If you're mixing the three of them together, and
Correct.
yeah, this is a little more like the way that Velázquez, who was a Spanish painter, would mix flesh tones.
Love his work.
Yeah, because he basically didn't have blue as a color, and he would use black, and the type of black that he had sort of a natural high content of blue in it anyway. So when he would add white to this, he could get these kind of blue grays and things like that out of mixing white and black together. If he needed just gray, a lot of times he'd have to put a little touch of red or a little touch of yellow in it just to get to be more of a neutral gray. And
I plan to make this entire list myself. I just haven't had a chance to do it yet, but it looked like a really fairly simplified way to experiment with discovering what colors make the different flesh tones.
yeah.
What
Well,
artist did you just mention?
Velasquez.
Would you spell the name?
Vales.
Queaz, I believe.
Yeah.
That's close enough.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, he was a Spanish painter. He was the royal painter of the Spanish court for
Mhm.
Yes.
a good portion of his life.
Mhm.
And a lot of people really looked at his painting and his style because he, unlike the Renaissance painters, and Velasquez was really kind of painting at the end of the Renaissance in the Spanish court. Kind of in the 1600s. His brushstrokes and things had what Italian painters and the French kind of admired, and in particular the Impressionists, and they call it bravura. Okay, and that's where he's not trying to hide his paint strokes. He's letting the paint go on and actually kind of describe the form and things like that, because you can see how the brushstroke was laid down. And that's one of the things that he was known for. But he used, a very limited palette, and in fact, you're kind of looking at it right there. It was red, yellow, and black because he didn't have blue.
Mhm.
And then
Diego Velasquez.
yeah. And then I think he only used like 5 colors, total on his palette. And that's how Zorn, Andre Zorn, came up with his approach to painting. Now, Zorn was a Scandinavian.
I have seen a lot of what he does.
Right.
The Zoan person.
Yeah, Zorn, and then Zorn, Sororio, they all kind of followed Velasquez and his approach and technique. Their palettes expanded just a little bit, but it's this is kind of where that originated at. Now, interestingly enough, just with the red, yellow, and black, depending on the black that you have, if you mix the yellow with the black, you can make a whole range of green out of that as well. Okay. And again, if you have something like a Mars black, then you can also make blues out of it by just adding white to the black, and you'll get all these kind of bluish gray colors. And so you can really create, a fairly wide range of colors just out of those 3 colors themselves. Okay. Is everybody confused enough now?
I saw one gigantic painting while I was over in Europe, and I can't remember. It's probably in Spain, but the guy who was on the tour showed us to move from the left side of the painting to the right, and darn if the horse did not turn as you moved, probably 10, 20 feet.
Oh, that was probably, I'm trying, is it Queen, his painting of his portrait of Queen Isabel?
So if I can remember correctly, there are a lot of people and behind, so I don't know.
No.
I thought maybe it was a war scene.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, now he painted the king,
Yes.
and he, I don't know if he had a lot of other figures in it. He painted the king and the queen both on the horse.
Didn't he do the whole royal family too? Wasn't that one of the?
Well, he was the court painter for the Spanish court, during a good portion of his life. And so yes, he painted all of them, the children, all their relations, everybody in the royal court. Now the thing is, the queen was not exactly what you would call a really attractive woman. Okay. and you know, he painted her and tried to, you know, tried to somewhat flatter her as best he could, and she didn't like the painting. You know, he almost lost
Oh,
the
too
job
bad.
with that. Yeah, he was in a lot of hot water because of that, in that painting.
Mm.
But
Seems to me the horse was partially rearing up, which made it even more dramatic. So I don't think there was a woman on it. I think it was a man.
yeah, I'll see if I can pull some of his work so you guys can look at it. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Charles, what was the name of the other painter after Anders Zorn that used a small palette? You
Yeah,
pronounced it, but
yeah,
I couldn't hear.
Andre Zorn, and then
But after,
Sorolla,
how do you spell that?
Sorollo, I think.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Rebecca, where'd you get this little sheet from, though?
Oh, when we were talking about it yesterday in class, I just went to the internet. This is a site called Teachers Paying Teachers. So
Okay.
if you want to, you know, download it or something, you have to pay a little dollar or something.
Okay.
Oh, I'm breaking the law here.
No, you're not. No, because you haven't ordered from them. You have to pay the dollar if you order from them. I don't think that they'll mind if we look at what they're doing.
All right. At any rate, so that's really kind of about it. I don't think I got around to showing. Yeah, these are some of the sketches that I did on Friday. Okay. And
Oh, okay. Let me at least print this one.
are you gonna screenshot them?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
All right. Well, now I've got the actual images I'm going to go through so people can actually screenshot the images. Okay.
Oh, okay.
As
Okay.
well. So I mean, you know, if you want to take a screenshot, I'm fine with it. Okay. Now, see, I left off the hand back here, you know, because I was running out of room and I didn't just want to run it off the paper. But see the size relationship. You know, I tried to push this arm up. You know, reduce, you know, what was going on here in the figure. And I was also looking for ways of getting inside the figure to begin to describe some of the anatomy, you know, rather than just, you know, an outline. Here's the lady with the umbrella, right? And then I combined her with the lady with the drape behind her as well. It kind of worked out to be a nice little composition overall.
A little better than Bob's.
Yeah, well, maybe not. She's not getting punched in the face.
It's not getting much.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's not a lot of conflict on that page. It's a more passive scene, I guess. So, yeah. Now there's a little more conflict here, you know, with the ballet dancers, you know, and then this the
On that one, Charles, I was questioning your position of the feet, her front leg and his back leg, her front leg, the 2 feet. Should hers be longer?
Yeah, it should be down below his, which it is a little bit. You know, it's a little bit in front of his, because she's not further forward this way. You know, she's out in front of him. But we'll look at. I've got this. You know, we'll look at it in the actual reference here in a minute. Okay.
Okay.
And then and there's my longer drawing. Okay. And I think I showed some of you this. You know, I started a painting off of that.
Yes. Oh, yes. Very nice.
So I haven't done anything more with it because it's been drying. Because I've been using a stand oil mixture, basically to thin the paint with when I'm sketching this in, rather than a terp. And it takes longer to dry. So
What's your mixture?
it's like linseed oil, a little bit of what they call culture varnish, and walnut oil. And so I'm combining the three. So it's probably about like 2/3 linseed oil, just a few drops of the copal varnish, which has kind of a purpley color to it. And then the rest, again, probably about a third of
Walnut.
yeah, of the walnut.
And that gets darker over time, I believe.
Now they've in the
Stabilized
old
it.
days when they used to use walnut oil in like the northern part of Europe, like in Germany and the Netherlands and Scandinavia, because that's what they had
Right.
available to them. Because the way that they processed it, it would darken. They say, and I can't, I won't be here to find out. They say that the way that they process it now, that it will remain clear. I was skeptical, but hey, one of the reps from I think it was from Grumbacher, swore up and down that was like one of the best products that they had, as far as archival ability and stuff like that. I had a good 20-minute conversation with him about that. It's like, what happened to all those, German painters and stuff? He said, yeah, we fixed that. That doesn't happen anymore. Like, really? So
how long will it take this one to dry totally?
it's
A week?
it's about 3 or 4 days.
And it's very wet outside too, so that doesn't help.
Pardon?
It's very wet outside too.
Yeah.
Oh, if it's damp outside, yeah.
Yeah, it usually does kind of affect the drying time on it. But it's dry enough. If I wanted to go up and.
So this is oil you use for the underpainting.
Yeah, it's oil paint. But if I wanted to go in and start working on it today, I could do that pretty easily. It's.
Why didn't you use an acrylic?
Well, for one, I was in Valley when I started this, and I don't have any acrylics in Valley.
Okay, good reason.
So yes, I used what I had. Okay. Anyway, that's everything I got to share with you guys today with the use in it. Okay. Now I have other things to share with you though.
Before you go on, I still want to see that lady that's reclining. We talked about it yesterday. I said I want
the lady that's reclining.
Well, she was on one of your pictures. The naked lady that you had laying down, had a foot on something.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. Right. That's where we're going, Bernice. Remember?
Oh, okay.
Remember, I said I was going to let you guys take screenshots of the actual.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I thought you had moved on.
No.
Bernice, she's on Armando's couch.
Oh, I bet.
Well, now, there's an idea right there.
Himself.
Yeah, we could. Where is Armando? He should be here.
Yeah,
So
right.
he could put her on his couch.
Right.
There we go. And speaking of which, first up, let me make this a little
Oh,
larger.
there she is.
There she is.
Yes, let's make it a little bit larger, and let me reduce the our picture so we're not in it, and that way I can maybe make her a little bigger. About right there. Okay. So if you guys want to take a screenshot of that, now's the time. Does everybody know how to take a screenshot on their computer?
Yep.
Okay.
No, I don't.
You don't?
No, I've been taking screenshots with my camera on my phone.
Okay, that works too.
All right.
But there is it's a couple of keys on your computer, depending on whether you're on a PC or whether you're on a Mac.
I'm on a PC.
On a Mac, it's like Shift Command 4, and that will change the little pointer to like a crosshair, and then you just drag over the area that you want to take a picture of, and then it ends up there on your desktop. You got a picture of it, whatever it was. Okay.
Huh.
PC.
And a non-Mac?
No, I'm not a non-Mac person, so
Okay. All right, I'll figure that out.
Well,
Thank you.
I'll tell you how I take my screenshot. I hold down alternate and then print screen and then just put it where I wanted to paste it to. Just hold down alternate and print screen at the same time.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And then you drag over it.
But then I go to Excel, but I just go to Word or something and click on it and then put paste.
Yeah, that works. I got that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it has the side. Unfortunately, you don't get to clip it down unless you edit it.
Oh yeah, you do. It does take everything, but you can clip it later on. I clip it. I take them in after class. I clip. You know.
You crop them, yeah.
Mine is different. I press on my Windows emblem, then I push this button for the screenshots.
Oh,
And
okay.
I take the shot and it ends up in all my photos of my screenshots.
Oh, okay. You click your Windows and then what's the second thing?
It's got a Windows emblem and then there's a thing for screenshots.
And where is
I
that
press it
at?
the same time.
I don't see
It's up
screens.
at the top there where your
Print screen.
where your for your sounds and for
Uh-huh.
your
Yeah.
mute and
Yeah, it's
stuff,
at the
up on
very
same
top
line.
row. Yeah, a
Yeah,
lot
so
of you
it
have
says
the
screen.
print screen button.
yes, that's it.
Oh, print
But
screen.
the-
Okay, yeah, I
Yeah,
see it.
but-
Okay,
yeah, but
okay,
it's the Windows emblem and then that, and it comes right up.
okay.
It goes directly
and-
to your screenshot
You know, go
portfolio,
into
whatever
your
you want to call
photos
it.
that way,
Yeah.
rather than have to put it in Word and then edit it and, all that
Yeah.
other stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
All right. So has
Yeah,
everybody
that's
got
good.
this?
so far.
Okay, Rebecca?
I'm here. I'm still experimenting. I'm not worried. Thank you.
Okay. Well, my question is, do you have this? Can I move on?
Yes, thank you. I got it several times. Thank you.
Oh, okay. All right, good. All right, next. Okay. So here's the drawing in question. And so, and John was asking about, okay, where is her foot in relationship to his? And see, it's just slightly, and we're talking just a little bit lower than where his foot is.
That's almost the same level. I was thinking it was further forward.
It's really a lot further forward than you think. It's that little bit right there. But it's just in front enough to tell us that she's, she's kind of where the midline of his torso is. So, so her foot's not on the same line as this. It's just a little below it, right? But then this foot is, considerably lower, and I say considerably, it's really not that much, it's just a little bit. But it's enough that you can tell where they are in space. All right. So do I need to enlarge this a little bit?
Yeah.
Let's see how big I
She's
can.
leaning
Yes, that
back
would
a
be
little bit
good.
too.
Okay. All right. So let's try. Here, I'm going to try it one more time, and then I'll try to pull it down because that's too much. Okay. Yeah, I think that's as big as I can do.
Otherwise, you'd be off the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, we end up losing his hand. And
Now, I do have a question, and that is once I did the what is that little window emblem and print screen, where's my picture at?
it should be in your
It's gonna go to
photos.
all your screenshots.
Huh?
Go to your file on your
Desktop.
yeah, go to your desktop and you should have a list on this in screenshots.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Okay.
Because what I'll be doing, just copy them, put them in Excel or Word, and just fix them up later on.
All right. Well, they might also end up in your photos, depending on what type of PC you have. Okay.
Right. Okay.
All right. Now we didn't draw her, but we talked about her a lot.
Right. Mhm.
Okay. And so, if you guys want to get a screenshot of her, you can.
Are we looking at another one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she's kind of like leaned back in the chair.
It doesn't look like a comfortable position.
No, 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 I don't think she was there for a long time.
Oh, okay.
This is definitely a photo. This is definitely a photo shoot thing, not a we're gonna draw you and take 45 minutes to do it.
Yeah, and hold it.
Yeah. Now
Wait.
this is the one that we talked about in opposition to it, where see her whole body is kind of parallel to us, right? So her feet really aren't any closer than her hip, which is not really any closer than her shoulder. So she's really kind of turned to the side, where this one is moving backward away from us. See?
Right.
And notice what happens with the ellipses as they move around her body. They're more curved and more extreme than here. Yeah.
That would be a fun one between those two to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, hey, take a
Tomorrow.
screenshot of both of them.
Yes, I've got it.
There you go. You got her now? I just blew her up.
I should have, yes. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Next, let me blow her up. That way. All right, so we got 3 more. Everybody good with this one?
Yes.
Okay. Her, I think she's about as big as I can get her. Okay, and then we have, ta-da, here I am.
Ta-da.
That's me.
Yeah, who was that? It was somebody was talking the other day, and they were saying, I used to kind of look like that.
That was me.
Oh, that was Bob.
That was me.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
This is the guy who punches the model in the face.
Yeah, this is the guy who put the mom in the face. Yeah. So. All right, everybody got that one?
Oh, wait, no, I didn't. I was looking.
Is it me or it looks like he's got a finger missing? Or that's just the way it's.
No,
No,
his little face is coming forward straight at
Yeah,
us.
this
Okay.
is
Oh,
kind of
I see it now.
pointing
Yeah.
straight at you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to see, but it's
Yeah, it
there.
is.
Yeah, it's there.
Mhm. It's kind of bent down toward him. or
Yeah, it
something.
is. Okay.
Yeah, it's,
Mhm.
yeah, it's
But
literally.
it does look like a nubbed off finger or something when you first look at it.
Yeah,
The
it's
tip of the finger comes right at you. It's just
yeah,
a
right
little
at.
bump.
I
Mhm.
think that I'll give it a little move.
Mhm. And then last but not least, we have her. Okay. Now, why don't you go ahead and take a screenshot of the whole thing in case you want to do the background, and then I'll zoom in on her. Sound like a plan?
Yeah, hold on. Just hold on.
I hadn't even noticed the leaves that are in the foreground. That's cool.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Charles, I'm fine now.
Okay, everybody else?
Yes. Okay.
All right. Let's see if I can have that like that. Does that work?
He down
You can bring her up,
Yeah,
Yeah,
bring her up a
there you
little bit. Yeah.
maybe up a little bit more,
Um,
so we can see her leg in the water.
oh, okay. Well, yeah, I don't want to lose her head. How about right there? Okay.
Okay,
Oh, that's great.
That's
Yeah.
good. Mhm.
Okay, everybody got that?
Yes.
Yay.
Okay. All right. So I guess we're done here. So I'll stop sharing. All right. And I know as soon as I stop sharing, somebody's going to, can you go back to?
Hey, I think I'll
know
do
it
that.
is,
I
Charles.
think I'll do that just to irk you. I want to see. I want to see.
Could you go back to that one?
Yeah, to the very first word, whatever it was.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know you guys. Okay. All right. Anyway, so how are we doing on time? All right, so we're at 3:15. So if you guys will hang in here with me, I'm gonna introduce you to an artist, and we don't normally do this on Thursdays, but I figured we'd have a little bit of time left, and I wanted you to look at his work. Now, Bob, in particular, he should really interest you, since
Okay.
and any of the rest of you who do pastel, okay? Because that's primarily what he worked on. Now, let's see if I can do the little share thing, and we will do this little card right here, okay? So here's some information on him. As you can see, he was an Italian painter, but he was a member of the Impressionist movement, okay?
What do you say his last name?
I'm not even trying to go down that road.
All right, we got to break it down. Zandominegi.
Yeah.
Menege.
Naji. Naji.
Zandomin.
Nage or something?
Naji.
He.
Yeah, probably.
We need the other Rebecca here that spoke Italian.
Right.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah.
that's fortunate.
Yeah, she speaks Italian. At any rate, yeah.
We'll call him Luigi for short.
Yeah. Okay. But notice, he wasn't really born till 1941, and that's really about the time, or actually after the time then, Corot was working in France. Who Corot was a member of the Salon, but he was a big inspiration for the Impressionist movement. Okay. And it was really kind of right around about, mid 1840s or so that the Impressionists actually began working and getting together in the cafes and talking about doing things a different way. Okay. So anyway, that's who we're talking about, and that's the time period that we're talking about. And notice he had a fairly long life. See, born in 1841, died in 1917, right? So really right about the time of the beginning of the First World War is when he passed away.
Do you know if Atlanta has any of his works?
I don't think so, no. In fact, I've
never seen it.
Yeah, I've never seen any of his work in any museum collection, okay? But
even in Europe?
Yeah. I've never actually set eyes on any one of his pieces, and I would love to, because I'll show you why here in just a moment.
Okay.
Because he's really got some beautiful work. Close this. All right. And we'll start here. So, where did that go? I don't know. Let me open that up a little bit.
I thought we had a bird up there.
Well, you didn't have a bird, you had a fish. You had a
Okay.
sardine laying on a plate. Okay. Now,
okay.
This is done in pastel. Okay.
It's beautiful.
And what I want you to notice is, look at all the different color,
Right.
in the quote unquote white plate, but also, the blues, the purples, they're light, but he didn't use white as a highlight, but really nice use of color, and also nice use of warm and cool. Now, this isn't a test, okay? But I'm going to find out how much you know. So tell me, if you're looking at this painting, would you consider this painting overall warm or cool?
Warm.
I would say cool. especially the plate.
Hmm.
The plate is cool, but the background and the fish have warmer tone.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
say,
guess I would agree with that.
yeah, I would
I
say
would agree with that.
predominantly this is a warmer, palette. Okay. Now, true, the white in the plate and the kind of cooler bluey, blue grays, things like that are a little bit cool. But the fact is, the background really covers more of the area, and the fish itself tends to be in warmer color. And so what we have here is we have a contrast between a predominantly warm painting, and the thing that pops out are the things that contrast with the warm, which is the cool, the plate, and the highlights and the light areas of the fish, right? Aren't those the things that,
Especially like the violet in the fish head.
yeah, like right in here. And
Yeah, it's beautiful.
see how this moves forward and feels closer to us than anything back here?
Yeah,
Now, reality, we know this is a two-dimensional piece of paper, and that the fact is it's not any closer to us, but the general appearance, the illusion, is that there's depth and that that table is laying down, and that the tail of this fish is further away than the head, right? Okay. And so, how he does that is, again, playing with those 5 types of contrast, in particular, value and temperature here, as well as intensity are kind of in play. And he does this in just about all of his paintings. Now, I'm going to apologize because, unfortunately, here we are, and it's the internet, and so you get really low res images. Okay, now here's kind of an unusual image. Now he was working in and around Paris and Italy. In around about the 1950s, or not 1850s.
1850.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And look who shows up as a model.
an American Indian.
A Native American. Yes. Okay. And actually, there were many groups of Native Americans who went over to Europe and toured Europe during that period of time.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, actually, Buffalo Bill Cody took his show
Oh,
to
that's right.
to England, France, Italy, Germany, Russia. They did the whole European tour. Okay. And
So was that the majority of the Indians that were in Europe, or did a lot of them just go?
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, I wanted to know if it was mainly the Wild West show,
Yeah.
or if some Indians went.
No, it was probably, mainly with the Wild West shows and things.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we don't know what tribe this particular Indian is with.
No, but my guess is probably Plains, probably Sioux, Cheyenne, Blackfoot, something like that. Because
Okay, so High Plains.
they would have been the majority of the Native Americans who were working with, Bill Cody.
Yeah.
So
Anybody that had expert knowledge about the kind of basket that was would probably be able to identify the Indian that went with it.
yeah, well, actually, that's a drum.
I was just looking at it, and I said, I thought it was a drum.
Yeah,
Because he has a stick in the other hand.
Right.
Oh, I see. Yes, it is a drum.
Yeah,
You're right, huh?
But you're right, that if we could identify the particular drum type.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would have been pretty typical of any of the plains. So it could have been Sioux, it could have been Blackfoot, it could have been really almost any of them.
So it's leather stretched over some kind of frame.
Over a wooden frame, a hoop.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
And the whites there again are just astounding.
Yeah. Again, it's a warm, cool contrast. This is a predominantly cool painting, and the things that stand out are the warm, and particularly notice how kind of neutral the hands are and how warm the face
Yes.
is. And see, he draws your attention really right to the face by warming
It
up.
looks like maybe an older individual because the ears are so large.
Yeah. But, okay. And then now I'm looking at this. Now this to me looks like it's probably an oil and not a pastel. You know, because it looks more like paint than you know, than a pastel or a chalk type surface. You know, but you know, really nicely done.
That could be a very modern painting, a guy working on his laptop.
True.
Yeah. Well, there you have, you know, a good example of an artist, you know, palette in hand, holding his plein air box, you know, his pochade. So now,
He's drawing on his screen.
yeah. Now look at his drawings. See?
Marvelous.
Yeah, really kind of nice, you know, very fluid, you know. You know, again, you know, kind of plays with the weight, you know, one side versus the other. You know, pretty proficient at drawing. So, you know,
Do we know? Oh, well, I guess he went to that Bell Arts school. I was going to ask you where he studied.
I don't think he studied at, he may have studied at the salon, but I'm not sure. Yeah. But it looks like he's got some kind of formal training. But again, you know, now this is a pastel. Now, who else in the Impressionists do you remember that did pastel?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Monet.
Dancers.
Yeah, Degas. And when I look at his pastels and I look at Degas' pastels, it's really difficult to tell the two of them apart. You know, because I mean, they
Did
use,
they know each other?
well, I'm
I
sure
guess
they
we
did.
don't know.
No, I'm sure they did. You know, you know, he was an impressionist in Paris. You know, they probably knew each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he follows a lot of the same kind of techniques. You know, with the way he's laying down the color around the form and building it up. But look at the change in temperature and value, you know, on that back, and how really kind of nicely, if you squint your eye down, you know, how nicely that kind of turns right in there. So,
Yeah, especially as you squint your eyes.
mhm, yeah,
Beautiful. And it's interesting how the background is green and orange, but
yeah,
that all blends together too.
right. Yeah, it kind of makes it makes a nice neutral. Where did my cursor go? Yeah. So, you know, the combination of these two, and we talked about that combination yesterday, red and green, and how they neutralize each other. And then as it moves to the bottom, there's less green in it. So it warms up right around that shoulder, and then it goes back into a neutral again. So, and so
The
again,
lines on this are beautiful.
yeah. So he's keeping your focus, you know, exactly where he wants by the use of the color, intensity, and value. Yeah. Yeah. Now, in particular, I wanted to talk about this particular piece because I thought this was really successful in the sense of, do you see the distance and the depth in this?
Mhm. Oh, yes.
Yeah, and how this, you know, kind of goes back and this moves forward. And I talked to you guys about this over and over and over again a lot, but this is a great example of it. Okay, so the color, you know, is more muted in this area. The edges overall are softer, right? The, you know, the temperature overall back here is, you know, in the middle in these really strong darks is pretty cool. Back here in the back, it's actually pretty warm, right? And then here in the foreground, it becomes, again, fairly warm again. And so really the really only cool area is really kind of in this area right in here. And so there's kind of a diagonal of generally cooler temperatures, and then you go back to warm and warm again. And then when you start looking at the flesh tones, okay, now she's generally sitting in a warm area, right? And then once you begin to really look at how he applied color, look at the purples and the blues and greens and things and skin tones, see? And again, you would kind of consider those cooler temperatures, wouldn't you? And when you compare, say, the green here and this kind of blue green and this grayish and purplish color in comparison to, say, the green out here, in particular like in here, which is warmer?
The grass.
Yeah, grass is much warmer. So you see he's using these cooler skin tones again with a change of value to create this sense of volume. See? So it's not just a change in value, it's also a change in value and temperature. The other thing that he's doing that you might want to notice is, you notice how the shadow sides of the legs and the torso here have a pretty distinct outline, right? And when you get to the light side of things, what does he do? He loses.
He highlights in the white.
Pardon?
He highlights the back and down under her rump and on up to the right thigh with white or
Yeah,
a
yeah,
warm
light
white.
value. It's not white. But what I'm talking about specifically is the edge right here
Yes.
and the edge
Yes.
right here. And you notice, okay, what he does with it is where this is crisp, and more defined, on the light side, see, he loses that edge. He softens it. So in fact, it just kind of melds this green into this green, on the back right here.
Oh yeah. Look at that.
See, so that it pushes that edge back around the figure, and lets the shoulder and everything, this side, of the back and the hip move forward and be in front. Okay?
Wow, that's amazing.
So it's those little subtle things, just those little subtle tweaks in color and how he treats edges and temperature and value that create this sense of volume, in this, pastel. And my guess is, looking at just the size of the strokes on this is fairly small. This is a little piece. It's probably not much bigger than, I'd say, 8 by 10, maybe 11 by 14 at the most.
Wow.
Yeah. And when you really begin to look at it, look at the face, look at the hand and the feet. Everything is, a little bit simplified. It's too small for him to go back in and really worry about trying to put a lot of detail. So he just suggests, he suggests that an ear is there with that light dark pattern. He suggests that there's an eye socket there, right? Look, there's almost like no indication of a mouth. You only get a thumb because he's divided, the thumb from the body of the hand wrapped around that elbow. And then the same thing kind of happens down here in the toe. The big toe separates away from the small toe. And see, he didn't draw every little line in there. He didn't worry about it. It's just, no, okay. He gave you enough structure so that you knew it was a foot. And then, you can basically make up the rest of it. So he didn't need.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting the very light stroke that he did right between her left thigh and her calf. So you can still see the blanket wherever whatever she's on.
Oh, you mean, like right in here and in here?
No, up above. Yes, right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't know, that's probably a reflected light off of the towel.
Oh,
And
maybe
that
so.
does,
Yeah, I had not interpreted it that way.
yeah, it just kind of shows the underside of the leg there. Yeah. Yeah, but it divides it so that it's not all lost in there. But yeah, again, that's one of those things, he gives you just enough. Yeah, it doesn't overdo it. Now,
And the purples are just amazing too.
yeah, this is a beautiful piece. I don't know that we're going to be able to see it very well because it's so small. Yeah,
Yeah, it looks like a photograph.
but again, look at how he pushed the things back into the distance. He's got this nice sort of transition. The greens back here are cooler, more muted, where these are more generally warm. And again, the size relationship, more texture here in the front. Again, he simplifies everything back here in the back to, just kind of a soft kind of field of color. Right? He doesn't try to show you that there's all this grass and texture and stuff back there because he can't see it. It's not something that's going to help him really tell you what's going on, right? So,
The only thing that bothers me about this one
mhm.
is the smokestack back in the background. It seems like it's leading your eye off the page a little bit.
Oh, you mean
feel
the
like,
cloud thing?
it looks like a smoke stream.
It might. Let me close this and see if I can see what's going on. Yeah, there is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's off of the smokestack. Yeah. Okay.
Because it gets more intense as it moves off to the right.
Well, yeah, it gets more defined and darker. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, he's trying to pull you. He's trying to pull you over here and then back here, and he's really trying to keep you kind of moving. From this house to here to the hat to her. Back here again. So.
What I think is interesting is the foreground. It really is not detailed. The figure has the detail, but the foreground still comes forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's giving you enough texture there and enough change in color between warm and cool, as well as look at the value contrast. You've got some fairly strong dark against, not real light, but kind of mid-tone. And then with her, you've got much more contrast. You get these very strong darks against the water, and then it's contrasted against this gray, and the gray is again kind of a mid-tone. So the contrast is at least as much, as this. And the only thing stronger is really where the white is, what we would consider white, the much lighter values of her flesh tones, the scarf, in and around her neck. And in fact, the brightest light is really kind of right here and a little bit here. So that's the only place that it gets really close to white.
Does her garment pop out because there's a lot of yellow in it against that blue?
Well, if you look at how he mixed that quote unquote gray, it's not really gray. It's kind of this greenish gray in some areas, but it's also bluish gray in others. See in the shadows, it gets more blue. On the light side, it gets a little more green.
Mm-hmm. Is that a separate head over to the right?
Yeah. There's a guy sitting there at the bank with a fishing pole.
Oh, I thought he was a severed head.
Yeah, no, he's down there fishing. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This is Fishing on the Seine is the title of the painting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she's out, she's out watching her date trying to catch dinner tonight. So
What would you say the size of this painting might be?
now this one, just looking at it, it's a little bit bigger, than that nude, so it's probably kind of medium size, maybe like,
I mean, from my
it-
experience with pastels so far, basically keeping those clean edges is hard to do with pastels.
Mhm. Yeah.
But the signature is sort of small, so it seems like it would be a larger.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking it's about a 16 by 20 maybe. Somewhere in there. Now
Mhm.
this is a much more elongated composition than a 16 by 20. So I guess maybe it's like maybe like a 12 by 20, something like that. So it's a little more landscape. But yeah, it's still not a real large piece. I haven't seen anything that I could find on him that, would really indicate that, any of his pieces were very large. Even this. I mean, that's got to be a relatively small piece. So, but again, look at the use of color and in particular intensity here and how he plays with the intensity of the color to push the background back and to bring, the figure forward. Really kind of lovely stuff. I wasn't really terribly familiar with him, but and looking at his work, he did some really nice work. Yeah.
Mm.
I'd be a happy camper to walk away with, doing anything he was doing at the time. Yeah, these, the little drawings are just really nice and expressive. Look at the sense of movement that he gets.
Mhm.
Really kind of wonderful.
Do you think this is a straw hat like Elizabeth Lebrun was telling us about?
It could be.
Yeah, it
Got
could be.
feathers.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they've got feathers and stuff in it. It would have been kind of a typical, hat that a lady in Paris would be wearing at the time. So, it was probably, some kind of either wire or straw frame with fabric over it. So, and there's this lovely piece. And again,
Oh,
just looking at kind of how the color, in the background went down. How he just treated kind of the drapery and the transition of not only value but temperature in here and intensity. Say, when you look at this, it's fairly intense, but when you come over here, this is still stronger. And then with the figure itself, color is much more intense overall. But again, he's playing with those edges. See, he just almost kind of loses that edge, into the pillow. Here he's got a strong dark, and what does he do? See, rather than having a crisp line, again, he just sort of brings the dark across it, just again, kind of push it back and turn it just this little bit. And then he gives you, this more defined edge here, pushing that forward. So look at the overlap of the legs. So how he crossed it. Yeah. Just really nicely done. This is a really beautiful piece as well. Look at all the blue.
That's very impressionistic.
Uh-huh. Yeah. But, you know, how that blue plays against, you know, the pinks and the reds. See? And even though if you squint your eye down, there's not really a value contrast. And in fact, you know, when you kind of squint down, those blues become the light. You know, the reds are sort of the midtones and shadows. Just really kind of nice stuff there. And, you know, now this is an oil painting. This is not a pastel. And again, I don't think that this was real large, you know. I don't see any real indication of there being like, you know, big, broad paint strokes on here. So my thought is that generally he worked fairly small.
I love the water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now look at the horizon line. See? And how he's, you know, just kept it kind of soft. And then as he moves forward, okay, you begin to get a little more texture and definition in the midground. And then as you move further forward into the foreground, you know, you begin to get more contrast, you know, and generally, you know, more definition and activity in the water.
And the reflection of the cliffs down in the water is green.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Makes me want to just jump in and dive there.
There you go. Yeah. Well, you know, unfortunately, she beat you to it. So. Yeah, again, yeah, it can't be very large. You know, it's a fairly small piece. You know, but just a nice, you know, just a nice little study of a figure, you know, laying across the rocks. You know, really nice light, shadows, use of warmer, cooler. It's amazing, you know, how tiny some of these images on the internet are. But yeah, again, look at the color, the violet, the pink, you know, and it's a green and a blue sort of together, or maybe a violet. And it makes this, you know, very grayish color back there against, you know, more intensity in the skin tone. So, and then I think, well, no, I've got more, got a lot more of this stuff. It's a beautiful piece. You know, really nice composition, you know, just kind of come in, kind of move, you know, all through the painting. Another one of his drawings. See, you know, always moving with the form, you know, trying to describe it. You know, it's not a flat shape. You know, even in the folds, say, little movement in there. You know, to describe what's going on. Now this, you know, when I looked at it, I always thought it was a little more like a Cezanne. I'm gonna get in the right place. But look at the intensity in the color. And how he plays the color, you know, the greens with the reds and the blues back here and this violet. And then this cloth is warmer as well as the fruit itself. And it really all just, sets everything forward.
Very rich looking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, like these reds, they would not look as red if he had not put these kind of greenish, dark, kind of muted colors back here. And because they're there and they're more neutral, it actually makes the red look redder than, it probably actually is. So one of the things about, how colors interact with each other. A lot of times, when we're talking about complementary contrast, we're talking about, a color that will help support, the color really across the color wheel from it. Because what happens is, by the application of that color, if you get it the right value and intensity, it will make that other color seem that much more intense and luminous. So you're always trying to play, one color against another. So now, if I could just speak English, I'd be fine, right? That's a beautiful piece. Now, I don't know what's going on with that lady's hat or her hair or whatever's going on there, but,
What she has on.
yeah, looks
It's like an outfit for
Yeah.
Halloween.
Yeah, it looked a little scary to me,
Mhm.
Yeah, it does. What is the name of this one?
It didn't give the name of it, unfortunately. I mean, it's beautifully done.
Yes.
Really beautiful use of color.
I wonder if she's in mourning.
I don't know. I think, just looking at that, I think that's a head wrap.
Right.
She's got, could be bird wings, on there. They did things like that back in the day. It was just, and they are in Paris, so it's, it's a fashion statement. So, but
It almost reminds me of illustration to the intensity, the detail of her face, even though it's pale. The eyes are intense and the mouth. I mean, it's.
Yeah, if you kind of look at that. Yeah, now he didn't like really over render it. He gave you enough so that when you look there, you really get all the features and the contrast. But again, look at the warm and cool. How it kind of gets warmer in here, and then as the mouth, it gets a little bit grayer and cooler around there. And because this is cooler, it makes those lips look even redder. So the same thing with the eye. So again, it's that play of warm against cool that it just adds this kind of depth and luscious feeling to the color. Yeah.
I found the name of it on the internet. That portrait or picture is called Communication.
Oh, okay. Yep. I wonder what she's communicating.
Yeah. What is she holding?
Yeah, I hadn't really noticed that, but that looks
kind
a
of sword.
little, that looks, kind of.
An umbrella?
It's too thin.
It looks a little pointy to me. It looks like she could do
Oh,
something.
a walking stick.
Or is that a walking stick? Yeah.
Not that sharp. Not that sharp.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
That's a statement of some kind.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe unintentional, but yeah, definitely. Looks a little scary.
It does.
Maybe a cool hand, Luke. We've had a failure to communicate.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And you said you're going out with who next week? You knew he was dating me, right? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think you're going to be going out with it. So maybe it's one of those kind of conversations.
I gotta say goodbye, everybody. I got another class. Everybody take care. See you tomorrow.
All right.
Right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming. Yeah, now again, this looks so much like a Degas. I mean, look at the skin tones. Just look at the color. I mean, wow. You know, purples, yellows, greens, reds, you know, kind of pinks. Just everything. Everything's in there. And it turns, it works, you know, just really beautifully.
Also, the strokes of how he laid down the colors.
Yeah, again, you know, he's kind of moving, you know, he's trying to indicate that there's a form there, and, you know, he's
It almost has a pointillism look to it.
kind of, yeah. And look at the face, just that little bit of light, you know, like 4 strokes of that really light pastel. And, you know, he doesn't try to push them together or anything, because he knows when he backs up, it just kind of puts light there. That's all. You know, beautifully done. It's just, you know, look at
I'm jealous.
Pardon?
I am jealous.
Oh, you wouldn't be the only one. Yeah, like I said, I mean, if I could do any of the stuff this guy did, you know, if I came away on any given day and did anything like that, you know, I'd be right proud of myself.
Yeah, really. Amen to that.
Yeah. You know, just really beautifully done stuff. So, and you know, again, you know, I mean, I didn't know anything about this guy, you know, but you stumble across these people, you know, in history, and it's like, why is there stuff not in the Louvre? You know, why have I not heard about this?
Yeah,
Because I mean, he's
depends on who writes it.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful work. You know, I mean, his stuff is as good as any of the Impressionists. And in some cases, I think his stuff is much better than a lot of the other Impressionists that he was working with. And yet, you know, you don't hear about it. You know,
How did you come across him, Charles? What were you searching for?
what was I? I think I actually was on Facebook, and a guy in Russia who posts on one of the pages I do, you know, posted a piece of his work, and then I went back and I looked him up from there.
Yeah, it's interesting where your wanderings can find you.
Yeah.
But you know, it's interesting.
What I've seen, it seems like
Okay, Bob, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, there was a lot of jealousy amongst a lot of the masters. The fact that you know, they did not want competition, so they would gang up on people to keep other artists away from a lot of the guilds at that, and so you know, it could be just plain old artistic jealousy that he just didn't get his name out there because somebody didn't like him.
Well, it could be that. You know, it could also be, you know, I mean, quite frankly, you know, artists can do whatever they want while they're alive. You know, it's usually about 30 to 50 years after they're dead, you know, that really somebody either pays attention or doesn't, you know. And I think it's just, you know, people fall through the cracks, you know, with collectors, museums, things like that. And
None of us have even seen his work in any museums is
Right.
Interesting too.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's who you know.
Yeah, some of that too. You know, could have been, you know, maybe the gallery or something, or you know, whoever was, you know, promoting his work, or you know, maybe he didn't have anybody, you know, to promote his work. You know, maybe he didn't have, you know, good gallery connections. Who knows? You know, that's certainly possible. So, yeah, I mean.
And do you know a bit about his history? You said
I really don't know a lot. Yeah, I really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and see if there's any biographies or anything on him. Hey, he does beautiful work. You know, I mean, look, nice. You know, that's
Look
just,
at this. This is great.
yeah, just a gorgeous piece. Look at the form. You know, moving down the hair. You know, and you see it. You know, coming around the shoulder and down the back. You know, just really nicely done.
What other painter have we seen where they're combing somebody's hair?
Well, Degas. Yeah.
Yes, right.
Well, Degas, that and Hopsev Pushman. You know.
Right, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's not an unusual theme. You know, we've seen it, you know, many times actually. So, but yeah, beautifully done. Just the color, just contrast.
Is that a mirror or a brush in the maid's hand?
I think that's a mirror.
Mhm.
Or
Yeah, I've seen. It's gone back and forth with me a couple of times.
Yeah,
It could
I
be
guess.
brush.
Well, I guess it could be a brush too. Yeah. Yeah, probably more of a brush.
Since the lady's holding a strand of her hair.
Yeah. Well, and also, you know, the lady is kind of like, okay, yeah, take it easy on the hair, because she's got her hand on the other girls.
Yeah, the maid's hand.
Yeah, like, please don't pull my hair. You know, I'm not quite ready for that yet. It's too early in the morning. Yeah.
But
You know,
the lady's hair against that blue background is
Yeah,
just pops it.
yeah, yeah. And then this one, you know, you just want to hate him. Yeah, it's really just look at the skin tones, just gorgeous. You know, there's just this luminosity to the skin that's just wow, really beautiful stuff. So
He liked redheads.
Mhm.
yeah, I guess he did. Yeah,
That's a lot of them have red hair.
yeah.
And again,
Well, it could also be the light too, because remember, a lot of the lighting at night was gas light, you know, on the interiors. So that could have a lot to do with the temperature, you know, and the color in the hair. Hmm.
this was yeah, this is a dancer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ballerina. Yeah, it's called ballerina. Here's another little tiny pussy stamp. I think, is this, no, this is a female figure. I was going to say, I kind of wonder whether that was a male figure, but it's female. You know, rather muscular female. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. Could almost be a male, you know? But again, you know, look how kind of just loose, you know, really kind of, and how he plays with color, you know, that kind of ochre and orange and stuff on the abdomen, and then how he kind of moves into sort of the purples and greens and blues, you know, across the breast and the shoulder, and then back into that red, you know, going up into the face. Just, you know, really, really nice. Again, you know, one of those plays of warm and cool color. And if you will, look at that white, you know, top that she's got on.
Looks silky.
Yeah. But, you know, it ain't white. You know, it ain't white. You know, he's got pinks and blues and purples, and he's got everything in there. Yeah.
That takes courage.
Well, yeah, I think it takes courage, but it also takes, you know, just doing it a lot, and also, you know, not being afraid. You know, it's like, okay, now I know it's not white. You know, it's got to be some kind of color. Let's get a color in there. Now here's like a charcoal and chalk drawing. You know.
Almost monochromatic.
Yeah. But it's just, you know, just with the way he laid, you know, the chalk down, you know, you get a sense of how, you know, stiff or soft the fabric was and how it kind of flowed, you know, around the form.
And again, it's
when you squint your
cotton.
eyes, it almost looks like lace.
It does.
Yeah. Don't you just hate him?
Yes.
No?
Of course,
Well, Rebecca, I'm glad you know because I do. You know.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, he's
How can you hate someone that creates such beauty?
well, it's just jealousy. It's just like, you know, damn, he just makes it look so easy. No?
A master.
Huh?
He was a master.
Huh?
Look at the blues against the red.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah, just really nice stuff. You know, really, really just nice stuff. You know, and his drawing, you know, he was a good draftsman. Excellent draftsman. So, you know, he knew how to draw, you know. He definitely had color and value down and knew how to play with color and temperature.
another one that looks like they got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I look at his stuff and it's like any one of his pieces could be easily. I mean, it would be very easy to confuse his work with Degas.
So I just read up on him on the internet, and he came from Venice to Paris and met the guy, and they became fast friends.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, they had
Degas?
to. Yeah, they had to be spending time together because I mean, the way that they use pastel and how they layer it and lay it down is so much alike. I mean, look at that, just that little touch of warm in the shadow and how that just glows against, you know, kind of the neutral and cool of the midtone. You know, just amazing. You know, really beautiful stuff. We haven't seen that before. You know. Now he didn't go as far as Degas went, you know, with it, but you know, basically looks like the same model, the same, you know, probably same time. They were probably both there.
Maybe, yeah, they may have set up together.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Working from the same model.
Yep.
Very
Keep the
possible.
model price low.
Yeah. You know, just plain old apples, but hey. You know, but he's really good at playing, you know, color. You know, one color off of another. And getting that intensity. And just getting it, pushing it just enough.
Can you send us the site where you collected these pictures?
Oh, I
Were
got
they
them.
all on once?
I got them off of all kinds of different sites.
Oh, okay. You
Yeah,
put this together.
I just had to Google them and then download different things from different sites. Yeah, this is another one I'm waiting for. Look at that. You know, the purples and blues and, you know, how that moves, you know, across the form. You know, and you definitely get a sense of the light is warm, the shadows are cool. So, and he plays, you know, back and forth with that. You know, he'll do, you know, one piece will have, you know, warm shadows, you know, cool lights. The other will be warm lights, cool shadows. You know, and he's not afraid of either of them, you know, and he'll get in there and play with it really nicely. You know, again, what can I say? You hate him.
Oh, this is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really lovely stuff. It really is. So, anyway, so
This was a nice venture.
yeah.
Thank you for putting it together for us.
Yeah, I hope you guys, got a little something out of that. Got, an idea. Let's see. I'm leaving. That's from John. Okay. Yeah. All right. Anyway, thank you all for coming. Guess what we're doing in the morning?
Drawing.
Yes, we're making marks on paper. So I will see you all at 10 o'clock. Okay. And hopefully you got something out of this. And, maybe it got you a little excited. Go play. Go play with color. Play with those warm, cool contrasts a little bit. See what you can do with it. Okay?
Have a good evening.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.